What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Kalie with the Battle Ready podcast. It has been quite a long time, almost 3 full years since I have done a recording, and I have missed you guys over the last 2+ years. I have had people asking me, when am I going to bring this podcast back? When are we going to hear from you again? What's happening with the Battle Ready podcast? And here we are. I have decided that this is the season, this is the time that we are ready to do this. So I have an exciting couple new updates to go through, but before I go through what the Battle Ready podcast is going to be all about, I just want to check and make sure that we are all up to date together. First of all, let me introduce myself for those of you that I haven't gotten the pleasure to meet yet. Maybe you're new to the podcast, but my name is Dr. Kalie Judge. I'm a chiropractor in the Chicagoland area in St. Charles, Illinois. I graduated chiropractic school in 2010, and I have been serving patients ever since then in the same location, and it has been an incredible time for me. I'm actually part of the largest chiropractic family. We've got over 40 chiropractors in our family. It will be 100 years of chiropractic in our family next year, so we're excited to celebrate that milestone. This has been super exciting. My practice is in St. Charles, Illinois. I do practice with my brother, which has been a huge blessing for us. We do spinal correction. We do care for babies. We do care for pregnancy. I'm specifically certified in the Webster technique. And also we do family wellness. Another thing that's part of our world, my world, is functional nutrition and customized planning for supplementation. And that's a big thing for us. And what I'll be talking about a lot on this podcast as well, we do a metabolomics testing, which is checking for broken biomarkers in your body, blood sugar imbalances, amino acid profiles. We've got different omega profiles, inflammation, antioxidants, GI issues, and things like that. A more intense GI testing that we do as well. I've got an online supplement store that you can see on my website. And we do health and life coaching, things I do for fun. I have 3 very amazing dogs, very big, 2 Doberman and 1 American Bulldog Pit Bull mix. Some would say that Zora, the Pit Bull Bulldog, is my favorite, but they all have a special place in my heart. They've all got amazing personalities. I love to take them on adventures and go do things with them. I love being outside. I love going on walks. I love riding my bike. I am a triathlete. I have done 3 half Ironmans, or they're called Ironman 70.3s. I've also done 1 full Ironman in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I'm working on my 2nd full Ironman. I'll be doing that this November in Panama City Beach, which I'm sure I will be talking about a whole lot. So when we talk about what is Battle Ready, it's not just another podcast. I know that there's dozens of other fitness, health, faith podcasts that you guys could be tuning into, but you chose to listen to this one. It's bigger than just a podcast. It's a movement. It's here to help bridge the gap between fitness and faith, and how do we marry those 2 things together, because the fitness world a lot of times lacks faith, and the faith world a lot of times lacks fitness and health and anything to do with that. So we want to try to bring those 2 things together. My main point is to help to empower individuals to achieve their best. We do that by renewing your mind, refining your body, and refreshing your spirit. And that's really the 3 main pillars that we're going to be going through as we go through the Battle Ready podcast. There's some things in the pipeline already. We are working on printing out a devotional, 100 days of devotions. If you have been around for a while, you know that over a 2-year span, 2.5-year span, I wrote a daily devotional Monday through Friday on my Facebook, and some of you got that texted straight to you. I haven't done that in a while, but I have collected all of those, and I'm turning them into several different devotional books in series. So we'll be getting those rolling out soon. We'll have different master classes, courses, and one-on-one coaching. You'll be able to sit down with me on a weekly or monthly basis and work on figuring out your life, whether it be fitness, nutrition, or just relational things. I do customize nutrition, set up different supplements, set up different meal plans for you. I've got the ability to do fitness plans, and I'm working on eventually writing a book as well. So, and then obviously this podcast is going to be a part of the Battle Ready Way. A couple ways for you to kind of be engaged with this is to follow us on Instagram at Battle Ready Co. And I'll be posting most often there. I used to do a lot on Facebook as well, but it's just a lot to manage both those things. And working kind of on a solo mission here, had to kind of dwindle some things down and figure out what would be the best for that. I am going to start this off doing as many solo videos as I can do. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how the response is, and we'll see what we need to change as we go along. But for now, we're going to do solo videos. I'll be having some guest speakers in as the time goes on, but for the most part, it'll just be my beautiful face here talking to you. And also, if you are on YouTube, you can see that this is the first time we're having video, maybe even on Spotify and some other iPod or podcast streaming devices. You'll be able to see video, but that's a huge feat for us. So that is my intro. That is a little bit about who I am, what my mission is for this podcast, and what we want to see moving forward. I'm going to be doing 30 to 45 to 60-minute episodes, depending on how everything goes and how much I talk and how much in the groove we get and how much tangents I go on and what we can do here. So bear with me. I would love it if you went onto my Instagram and sent me a direct message and at the Battle Ready Co. Instagram, and sent me a direct message and said, hey, I want to hear these topics come up over the next few months, and I will listen to you. This podcast is for you. It's for me to rant and have some therapy sessions, but also to give you as much advice as I can give you in different health and fitness and faith topics. This week's episode is called The Uphill Battle, or Uphill Both Ways, and I want to go through a recap of my 70.3 Ironman experience a few weeks ago. I did the Muncie, Indiana 70.3 Ironman, and it was a blast. This would have been my third half Ironman that I did. Second one that didn't have the swim canceled. The actual second Ironman, half Ironman that I did, the swim got shortened. So this was the actual true half Ironman that I've done with nothing changed, nothing altered, no swim cancels. And I gave it my all, but I had some pretty lofty goals that I missed out on, and I want to talk to you about those. It's been about 3 years since I've done any type of Ironman experience. I took a year off, and then the year after that, I did an Olympic distance triathlon and had a really good time. I actually qualified for the USA triathlon team worlds, and didn't get the chance to do that because I was out of town for the same weekend, but I did get to do that. Last year, I bought a bike and was potentially going to do a race, but it didn't work out with timing of things and some life things that went on. So this year I jumped in. I signed up for a half Ironman that was just a couple weeks ago, and then I'm doing a full Ironman in November, again, which I'm sure you will hear a whole lot about. So it's been about 2 years, 3 years since I've done really any type of long distance triathlon before, and it's in the fall, this October, I decided, hey, I think it's time for me to jump back into this, and not just to do the Ironman or do the half Ironman, but let's see how far I can take this thing. I have big goals and big dreams to qualify for the World Championships, which means that you have to be like 1, 2, or 3 in your age group, or sometimes if you get lucky, you'll get some roll down catches. But I mean, I would say at least top 10 in your age group to get to those World Championship qualifiers. And it's big. I remember when I first did did a triathlon, and it was in Galena, Illinois, and I did the swim, I did the bike, I did the run, but I remember finishing that. I had an Olympic distance scheduled a few weeks after that. And I did this sprint distance triathlon, which is like the smallest distance that you could do. I think that there's a super sprint or something that you could do that's even smaller, but typically the sprint distance triathlon is the lowest that you can do. I remember doing this and getting done with that and thinking, there's almost no way that I could do much longer than that, let alone run a half marathon at the end of this for a half Ironman, or God forbid, like run a full marathon at the end of way more distance in biking and swimming for the full Ironman. I was afraid of running. I was afraid of doing things. I actually signed up for a half Ironman about 8 years ago, and I signed up. I started training, and some things got in the way, and my mind got in the way, and I didn't do the race. I went the day before. I picked up my packet. I did the whole Ironman experience, but I drove home, and I didn't bring any gear. I went home and thought, man, I'm never going to be able to do this again. And it took about 2 years for me to say, okay, I think I can do this. And within those 2 years, I ran a solo half marathon. So I decided I knew I could finish the half marathon, the 13.1 miles, but I wasn't sure if I could do all the rest of it. I started getting serious on the bike. I got a coach and have been, working on that. And then did that first half Ironman in Waco, Texas, and had the time of my life. It was difficult. I was humbled. I still sucked on the running. You'll come to find out that the running has been my biggest nemesis over this season of not of what's my hardest discipline of the three. It's usually the running. Swimming, I grew up as a swimmer with my best friend, Dr. Cassie Major, and then also my brother, Dr. James Judge. We have been swimmers our whole entire lives, and it's just always been easy for us. And I usually finish in the top 10% of the swims with no issues, because most people that do triathlon are not swimmers. They're either runners or bikers that get into triathlon. So I've got a leg up on that, but then slowly I will dwindle back towards the end. And my goal is to not do that anymore, is to stay up at the top 10%, stay up at the top 10 and remain there throughout. So I've got these big, hairy, audacious goals. And it's like one of those things where, why do you set these big, hairy, audacious goals? Because there's things that are scary. There's things that you don't think that you're going to be able to accomplish. But what a big, hairy, audacious goal does is it gets you outside of your comfort zone. It gets you to stretch to a new version of you, to something that's different, something that's better than what you think is even capable and possible. People say all the time when I'm training for my Ironmans, or they find out that I'm doing this, they say, I would never be able to do that. And it's like, having done this already and knowing that I was also in their shoes, saying there's no way that I would ever be able to do that. And the reality is that once you put your mind into something, once you put the effort and the training into something, like if you just woke up from a regular day, there's no way that you're going to finish an Ironman. But when you put the training and the time in, it actually, race day becomes the best day of the year, because it's all the time and the effort that you've put in already that's being exposed on race day. So big, hairy, audacious goals. I don't want you to ever stray from those. I want you to be someone who sets things big and is ready to go out and fight. Wanting to do things that you never thought were possible, that you never thought you could do. Again, like when I started this triathlon journey over 10 years ago, I never, ever thought that I would be able to do a full Ironman. And I already have. I've already gone through that process. And now When I first finished my full Ironman, I said I'm never doing that again. And also, there's no way that I would ever be able to qualify for the World Championships. Over the last 2+ years, almost 3 years, I've watched YouTube videos. I've watched inspirational videos from the pro triathletes, from other just regular Joe triathletes, and I've seen regular people, friends of mine, qualifying for these world championship events, and like, why not me? Why not me? Like, what do they have in them that's better than what I have in me? And the answer is nothing. Like, why not you? What's that big thing that you have that's sitting out here that's like, you never thought that you would be able to accomplish it. You never thought that you would be able to do it. There's other people around you that are doing these things, but there's no way that you'll be able to do it. But, I'm here to ask the question of like, why not you? Who said that you can't do this? Who said that you weren't the one to go out and accomplish those things? So what's that like burning desire on the inside of your heart that just hasn't really been exposed to the public yet, that you've been holding on to and haven't really been able to jump out and do this thing? And, why not you? It's time to start looking at these big, hairy, audacious goals, those things that we don't think that are possible, and saying, I think I could do that. I think that if I put my mind to it, that I actually could accomplish it. It may not be perfect. I might not be a pro, but I think I can get it done. And so I want you to start thinking in the realm of possibilities rather than in the realm of just not being able to do things. So shifting our minds from impossible to what's possible with me. Going into this Ironman specifically, I had a game plan. When I started training, I didn't miss a day. I started training hard. I did 2 a day sometimes. I would jump in, and my coaches were impressed with the bike jumps that I was doing with my powers and wattages. And I'm not going to get into all the like nerdy stuff, although I know some of you would love to hear me talk about what my wattage was and all those things. Go ahead and find me on Garmin if you want to come and look at it. It's nothing too impressive, but it is impressive for me. And as we're going through life, we might have game plans. We might have, okay, I'm going to sign up for this triathlon. I'm going to do the best I can in training, and I'm going to show up and I'm going to qualify for worlds in this first shot. There are some things in my own personal life that derailed some of my training, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I know that some things come at us, and it's time for us to step into those and not allow life to stop us in our tracks. Again, I have a mentor that says done is better than perfect. And so wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, there's things in your life that you haven't started, or you started and you haven't completed because you're not getting it done perfectly. You don't have to get things done perfectly. You just have to get it done. And so in the midst of this season, over the last 7-ish months, things have happened in our lives, in our personal lives. And for most people, they would have quit. And fortunately for me, I had people in my corner saying, no, you're going to do this. You're going to finish this. You're going to go after it. And, so one person specifically was saying, you're going to do everything that you can to get this done. And no matter what, you're starting at that race. And, that race was for her and going through this. But when I got to that starting line at the Muncie 70.3, I was nervous. I was anxious. I was ready to go. I knew I had put in the work. I knew I was going to be able to finish. I knew I was going to have a good day. I had some big goals, specifically for the swim. I was ready to go. I jumped in, and my goal was to finish that swim in 30 minutes, which it's a 1.2 mile swim for those of you that don't know. And I can see my goggles let me see like what my timing is, which direction I'm going in. So I could see where I was at certain points of the swim. And I knew from the beginning that I just wasn't catching the glide. And if you've never swam before, or maybe you have swam before, you know what I'm talking about. But I just wasn't getting in the groove of this swim. Like everything felt like it was off. Nothing felt like it was smooth. My suit was tight. My goggles were leading me in the wrong directions, and I wasn't doing what I thought I was capable of doing. And I knew that as I was swimming. And so it was like one of those moments where it's like, okay, like you're about 8 minutes down, and I knew that coming out of the water, you're about 8 minutes down. What are you going to do now? Are you going to throw it all out the window, or are you going to do your best to make up some time along the way? And so I got out of the water 8 minutes behind what my scheduled time was. And I still just said, you're going to go for it. Get through the transition, get through it as fast as you can, and keep going, keep moving, keep persevering, keep driving, even though there may be discomfort, even though there may be disappointment, even though there may be things that, came up in the last 45 minutes that just didn't work out well for me. What is the silver lining in this? I just kept saying to myself throughout that swim, into the bike, into the run, is I get to do this. I got to show up for this race today. I get to finish it. Now it's the time to keep moving, because there's people at home that don't get to do this. And so I get to do this today. So out of the water, I hustled into the transition. I made sure that I went through there fast. I got in and out of there in a couple minutes. Got to my bike, started going, and I thought, okay, I've got this. I've worked really, really hard on the bike. I used to average 16 to 18 miles an hour on my bike races, and I have been working to get to 19, 20 miles an hour average on my races, and I was going to do whatever I could do to make that happen on this race. I just kept saying, stay steady, stay with your race, don't race the people around you, stay within your race, in your power and what you need to do. And I could see on my bike computer on the front of the bike that I was going to make this goal. I was going to hit the 19 miles an hour, and I was on pace to still do a really good race. And then came the run. The run was in the heat of the day. The sun was out. It was a beautiful day. It was so hot. It was in the 90s. And I was sweating, but you couldn't tell on the bike because you're obviously going 19, 20 miles an hour, so there's a breeze. I got to my bike. I changed my shoes, changed and put my belt on. My visor didn't fit right, so I didn't wear my visor. I fixed my hair, and off on the race I went. I grabbed a handful of melted nerd clusters, which I'm not a huge proponent of candy, but there's a time and a place, and if you've never had a nerd cluster before, they are the saving grace to me for triathlon and just training in general. But I grabbed a handful of nerd clusters, and out I went. I thought, man, I'm going to get a sugar rush. I'm going to be able to go and do this. Again, running has just always been the thorn in my side, the thing that I just haven't been able to click everything. I've definitely gotten much stronger. I've done way better. My training's better, but there's things that hold me back, and it seems that no matter what I do, I still kind of falter on the run. And so this run particularly, you come out the chute, and it starts with a downhill run, which means you've got to come back up that hill at the end, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But this is the start of the uphill both ways scenario that I didn't know that I was getting into. On the Ironman website, it says that the elevation gain is 161 feet. By the time I got done with everything, my watch on my Garmin said that it was over 500 feet of elevation. So those are two really different races that you're preparing for mentally, physically, and even really emotionally. So I didn't know that going into the race, but I'm running. I'm about a mile in, and all of a sudden I hear this air horn going off, and it's obnoxious and probably super annoying for everyone else around it. But I'm like, I think those are my people. I can't see them yet, but I'm like, I know that they've got air horns, and I thought they were going to be stuck on the bike race. I wasn't going to be able to see them yet. The roads were closed all over the place, and they made it to the spot. And so I knew that they were coming, so that gave me an extra boost. I saw them, air horns, water, high fives, hugs, all the things. And on my way I went, and I still had another 11 miles or so to run. A guy comes up running next to me, and he's like, okay, you made it through that part. That's the worst part of the whole run. And I was like, all right, because that was pretty brutal right there, and it was only 2 miles in. And I just kept running and having a good time, and no shade, super sunny, hot. Just keep running, just keep going. All of a sudden, these hills start coming, and the hills were like in an uphill incline. So even when you had a downhill, you were still kind of going uphill. So I was like, okay, I just need to get to the end of this, because it was an out and back. So it's the same course that you're going to hit on the way back in. I need to come out and back and get in here and get moving. I hit the halfway point, and at that point, I had already been doing some walking and some running, to the point where somebody comes up behind me and she's like, "Oh, walking sucks. You shouldn't walk. Don't be a walker." And I'm like, if you're trying to encourage me, you're not doing a very good job. Also, you do you and I'll do me. And so there's this runner's etiquette. Like, yes, you want to encourage the person by you, but there's a fine line between encouraging and also like, who the, what do you think you are? So I got to the end of the turnaround point, started turning around, and I thought in my mind, okay, there's going to be some more downhill, because that whole thing felt like an uphill battle. My feet were fine, although they were wet because I had been throwing water on myself, and so I was squishing around. Everything was okay. I was just tired, and it was hot. So as I kept running on the way back, when I got to that halfway point, running on the way back, somebody else came by me, and I'm like, he asked how I was doing, and I said, well, I'm just waiting for those uphills to turn into downhills, because so far it hasn't. And I still have about 4 or 5 miles left to go. Get to the 5K mark left, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. And then it was like, no, this still sucks. And so I'm just like battling through this whole thing, and like going through all kinds of things, and couldn't wait to come and tell you guys about this. I get to the end, and again, my crew, the support crew, was there, and I hear my Jeep that was parked right on the path. The horn starts going off, and it's my best friend like pushing the horn button. And then I see my family up there just waiting for me to come in, and my friend Michael's sister was there, Drea, and she's kind of walking with me as I'm pretend running up this hill. Because before I saw them, I was like, okay, I'm going to just walk up that hill. Screw it, and then I'll get to the chute and run through that. But I saw them, I was like, dang it, now I have to run. So I see Drea, and she's kind of like walking with me as I'm trotting along, and I said to her, I said, you know how our parents used to say that they walked uphill both ways on the way to school without any shoes in the winter or in the dead of the heat? I feel like that's just what I went through, right? And so my big point for you guys today is that regardless of what your journey is, you might feel in life that every corner that you're turning right now, that you're getting a pie smacked into your face, that there's things coming at you that you feel like you're going to take a breath, and then all of a sudden it's another uphill battle, and there's bad news, and then there's more bad news, and then it's topped off with more bad news. And it's like, when am I going to catch a break? And how can anybody be excited and happy and joyful in this season? And what is it going to look like to make it out of this? There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Whatever that tunnel looks like for you, I know that once I got up that last hill and I got to run through the Ironman chute and I saw the finish line there, it was so exciting for me to be able to get to that finish line and know what I had endured, because I knew that what I was enduring physically in that last 6 hours and 15 minutes, I knew what I was enduring in that was a representation of what I was enduring in life. Right now in this season, like this is a raw, you might even hear my voice choking a little bit, but this is a raw season for myself and my family. And how are we still able to find the good, to find the joy, to experience the joys of life in what feels like an uphill battle that constantly never stops? There's a saying that if God's not if it's not good, then God's not done. And I just want to remind you of that today. I don't know where you are in your journey. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what's happening for you, but there's so much more that God has planned for you than to just leave it bad. And so if you're experiencing life and it's something that you're going through and it's not easy, and don't let those bad days turn into something bigger than they're supposed to be. Those bad hills, those bad moments are just stepping stones to the greatness that God has for you. They're just stepping stones to what the next level is. That, there's that saying also that there's no testimony without a test. And some of you might feel like you're in the final exam and you can't get a break on these questions and these answers. But, it's bigger than what you think it is. You might be going through something in a relationship that you thought would be resolved by now. You might be going through something in your work that you thought you would get a raise, or you thought that you would be further along than you are professionally right now. You might be going through something in your health that you believed and you had faith and you thought that there was going to be more to it than what you're currently experiencing. But you just keep getting pies in your face over and over and over again. And I just want to encourage you that no matter where you're at, no matter how many pies you've had in your face, no matter how many hills that you've climbed, that there's still joy in the morning. There's still joy the next day. There's still joy that you get to carry. You get to be the experiencer of joy, because joy isn't set by circumstances. It's set by an experience. It's set by what you have inside of you. And we are all created in the image of God. We're here to carry His image and be an image bearer. And that includes being able to experience the joy that Jesus Christ has given us. And so whatever it is that you're going through, whether it's an Ironman or a marathon training experience, or maybe it's CrossFit, or maybe it's some other, I'm just trying to lose 100 pounds, whatever it is that it looks like, keep moving. All I could think about while I was running is that every step forward is a step in the right direction. Every step forward is a step in the right direction. Every step forward is a step in the right direction. So don't stop. Don't give up. I'm here to encourage you to lean into the hills. The best way to get through a hill is to lean into it. The best way to climb a hill is to lean into it. And I promise you that going uphill, going through battles, going through things, it's better when you're carrying a smile on your face. And so I don't know what it is. People probably are saying to you, how are you getting through this with the smile on your face? How are you getting through this looking so good? How are you getting through this doing so well? It all seems so devastating. Well, it's because it's bigger than who you are and what you are. So don't let that stop you from what God's created you to experience. And also there's a testimony that you're holding that's going to empower and encourage somebody else along the way. Whether it be a health circumstance, whether it be a personal circumstance, relational, financial, whatever it is, what can you do today that's going to help you bring joy to the circumstance? It's going to help you to glorify God along the way and in the process. And it's going to help people look at you and say, how are you doing this? Well, it's because you are battle ready, that you are putting in the work to become battle ready, that there really is a shield in front of you that you're carrying that's holding off everything. So, I just want to thank you for today. This is a shorter episode, I think, and I'm excited for what's to come. I thank you for being a part of this. I just want to ask that you would please share, comment on the podcasts, leave a rating, 5-star review would be amazing. Comment on the YouTube channel and share this in your Instagram, in your Facebook, whatever social media platforms that you use. The more footwork that I can have you guys do for this season, the better it's going to be. And we're gonna turn this thing around, and whatever uphill battles that you're going through, I promise you there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you too can walk through your Ironman finish line and get to hear that you are an Ironman. So whatever it is that you're going through, keep on going. Renew your mind, refine your body, refresh your spirit, and say to yourself every single morning, I am battle ready. We'll see you next week.